And finally, for the failure mechanics of dealer banks, so we have large dealer banks, and their major functions tend to be securities dealing, underwriting, and trading. So they intermediate in primary markets and in secondary markets, and engage in some proprietary trading. They create a market for over-the-counter derivatives. They tend to provide prime brokerage and asset management services, so providing clients a range of services, including custody securities, clearing, cash management, securities lending, financing, and reporting. They may provide off-balance sheet financing. And then there are the Duffie articulates some failure mechanisms. So the first is a reaction by over-the-counter derivative counterparties. The second is the flight of short-term creditors. So this is really the run on the shadow bank, similar concept to a theme in the Gary Gorton reading. The flight of prime brokerage clients. The loss of cash settlement privileges. And then the argument that some of the risk management failures discovered during the financial crisis are associated with diseconomies of scope in risk management and corporate governments. The idea that as these large dealer banks grow in size and complexity of all these business units, some senior executives and boards simply found it too difficult to comprehend the risk that their own companies are engaged in. And a dealer bank can mitigate the risk of loss of liquidity through a run by short-term creditors by establishing lines of bank credit, dedicating a buffer stock of cash and liquid securities for emergency liquidity needs, laddering the maturity of its liabilities, and having access to secured financing from central bank facilities. And then a theme in the current issues in Gorton in particular, the relating or analogy between a liquidity crisis at a dealer bank and a traditional bank run. So in the traditional bank run, the depositors, so that's the right-hand side, the liabilities of the balance sheet, they start to withdraw. And then in the dealer bank or shadow bank system, it's the analog is that the counterparties retreat. Policy measures. During the financial crisis, the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England provided a range of new secured lending facilities as backstop sources of financing to large dealer banks. And policy measures, a central counterparty clearinghouse. So the idea here is that if some of these over-the-counter derivatives between counterparties can be cleared through a CCP, this could reduce the systemic risk, and a resolution trust authority. That would be a mechanism for the resolution of failing large dealer banks at the level of their holding companies.